Actually, a genuinely beautiful looking scenery shot from above. Also dropping a win right out of the gate for ReZero's fantastic music. It's a new season, it's the same song as before, but they're gorgeous! Also, ReZero! Just also want to take the opportunity to remind everyone to hit the subscribe button and the bell. I won't waste your time, but it would be good. Thanks, and now let's get back into it. Okay, so after what just happened at the start of the episode, I'm just confused, but ultimately insanely happy that Rem looks to be alive and well. Also, if you're confused why I didn't show it, I covered it when I did Season 1's Director's Cut recently, as it's at the end of the final episode there too. Man, over here genuinely getting emotional seeing these characters again. ReZero is one of my top 10 anime and has been for 4 years. Just really happy to have lived long enough to see the second season.
Subaru 君は困った人なんですから。クルシュ様も笑われたら雰囲気が変わりそうですね。
5 minutes in, and that music and her smile have got me going. That's one of the most beautiful songs ever in my eyes.
きっと微笑まれたら素敵だと思います。
私は笑うのが下手な女だ。そのことを後悔して、今もなお変わらず。
Her attempting a cute smile. Well, let's face it, it wouldn't be ReZero without an emergency plot twist! Everyone take cover! Ren being awesome and new enemies and I can't take it! My brain trembles! Can't show the whole scene due to some body parts flying about, but the grass and wooden debris from the destroyed wagons is CGI done stunningly well. Like, that's some next level stuff for an anime. Even though the attack didn't work, she breaks free from a classic age-old anime cliche, which dictates that you don't attack when your enemy is speaking by attacking when you refuse to answer her the second time. Okay, I didn't expect them to address it themselves, like immediately after me. That's hilarious, and well worth another win. Jesus! I had to watch that twice because it happened so fast. I can't believe someone as strong as her is taken down so quickly like this. It's crazy. Taker, you've seriously shocked me, related win. I cannot tell you how long I've waited for this. Well, I can actually, it's about 4 years and 6 months as of writing this, to find out who the next main cult members would be, and it turns out it's gluttony and greed. I'm loving this an unreasonable amount so far, I gotta calm down! Asagiri again from Dr. Stone.
言いたいことはそれで十分ですか？魔女教徒。いずれあなたたちを打ち滅ぼしてくれる英雄が現れます。
Loving how they didn't rely on CGI for these ice shards.
我が最愛の人、夏木スバルの改造人、レム。
I know ReZero's songs pretty well, and I can't recall having heard that one before, and already it sounds utterly badass. Kicking off Season 2 in just about the best and worst of ways by no doubt taking Rem out of the story here temporarily, that's my assumption, and by giving us this intense battle! Amazingly quick images flash by right here. Rem and Subaru welcoming a newborn into the family as their son stands nearby. Subaru alongside his son and Rem holding their baby. Perhaps a glimpse of what may have been, their future being ripped away, and maybe tied into the side story the author wrote a few years ago about if Subaru and Rem had left much earlier on together. View of the mansion from above at night that must have taken ages to put together.
レムって誰のことです？
ラムに妹なんていないわ。レム。
I must admit, I'm so damn impressed with the feel of this episode. It just feels like it's a straight up continuation. Everyone sounds exactly the same. The vibe is exactly the same. It's like they never went away, and that's so truly impressive. Not walking on the spot several times.
なんでだよ。それでも治療師か。治療師だったら治せよ。魔法でちゃっちゃと目覚めさせてくれよ。
Getting to see the super desperate side of Subaru in relation to Rem once again, just showing us that even after everything that happened at the end of season 1 with Amelia, that he does care so insanely deeply for her.
お前たちを救うためなら。
First person perspective like it's no big deal.
俺は何度でも。
Also though, can't show it since he's poking out some red body juices from his neck, but his commitment to keeping both Rem and Amelia alive is so brave that he puts himself not only through the pain of committing the act, but also knowing full well, as he points out, that he'd have to fight Petal Goose all over again.
レムって誰のこと？
Oh, goddamn, man. So that means by this save point, as it were, she's already gone. Oh, man. This is terrible. Weirdest win of the video goes to this knife for cutting apples. Like, they really didn't have to make it so incredibly detailed on the hilt, adding a different colour to it slightly further up, and then a nice little bit at the top. That's serious dedication to something 95% of people won't look at.
なんだ、パックかよ。
What do you mean it's just you? It's Puck! I love Puck! I haven't seen Puck in years! Puck!
そんなことは彼女もそれを喜んでくれているのではないでしょうか。
The fact that my girl here is still alive, thankfully.
夏木スバルですよ。
ごめんなさい。夏木スバル様ですよね。
Adding in the intriguing element that she herself has seemingly lost part of her own memory.
では、スバル殿とクルシュ様も戻られましたので、話をいたしましょう。
Wilhelm still being in this anime and the amazing voice actor still being alive and well equals a massive fat win. He's one of my favourite anime characters.
って正しい意見を述べた方をあざける資格もあなたにはない。
I must say, I'm not hating this change in personality in her brought on by the memory loss, given that she's acting in such a way that I don't think she would have before, or at least prior to defeating the White Whale. Regardless, it's a nice twist seeing her like this, is what I mean.
約束の同盟のお話だけど、なかったことにしない。
それを。
私はその意見には反対ですな。
なんでビル C が反対するの？
God, this is so different to the first season. It's really progressed as a story full of characters who've had a variation of experiences alongside Subaru recently. Normally, Wilhelm would naturally never take the side of anyone alongside Subaru, especially once his master had been injured, but now he's looking at it with a truly fresh perspective. Meanwhile, the story tries to throw a wrench in the works, bringing up the idea of dissolving the alliance he worked so hard to form, which would definitely have happened if this was season 1. Long story short, the overarching story of the anime is forming and progressing beautifully alongside its characters.
何かを選ぶなら誰かの言いなりではなく自分の意思で選びたい。
Brilliant up-close shot of her eyes, which just scream pride, resilience, justice and honour, even while her memories are lost, as she chooses the hard path to continue her fight alongside the alliance her former self formed. Amelia adding love logs to that love fire that's been burning since back in season 1 as she shows more of her kind and caring personality off. Adding the redness around his eyes from crying.
お前の英雄が必ずお前を迎えに行く。
Also, take one last win here for the episode for that song, another of the most soulful and beautiful in all of anime.
まあさすがにそんな続けて事件が起きたりは。今のフラグ臭くなかった？
スバルって当たり前みたいに私の隣に座るのよね。
なんかおかしかった？
最初はムズムズしたけど、 今はそうしてくれないと変な感じだからいいの。
Nicely added touch there, having her state that originally it was uncomfortable, but now she's grown really accustomed to it. So much so that it's now strange when he doesn't, which fits nicely with the fact that they did have that argument not all that long ago after his failed duel with the knight in the capital, and they parted ways.
てか、おっと、いたのお前。
いるに決まってるじゃないですか。僕がそもそも何のために夏希さんに協力したと思ってるんですか。
Otto being in this equals a win. He's best merchant boy.
お二人ともそろそろ目的地に到着しますよ。
Good CGI.
こうなったら一旦屋敷だ。なんか手がかりがあるかもしれないし。おっと、お前も一緒に来い。
Dropping another one here for just how smoothly the story is continuing. Even though it's only a 13 episode half a season, they're really dedicated to not rushing at all. So it feels so well paced as we arrive back at the familiar village and onwards to the mansion and this sanctuary place. Kawaii.
お帰りなさいませ、エミリア様。お戻りになられるのをお待ちしておりました。
Beautiful friggin' flowers. God, I love how for some unknown reason he can always find what room she's in.
お前が感涙して肌水ズルズルでお礼言ってたって。
捏造するんじゃないのよ。涙なんてもう長いこと流しちゃいないかし。
As an overall win, I feel I gotta give credit for how everyone so far sounds exactly like they did in Season 1. Now, before you go thinking, yeah, but they're the same people, a lot of these guys are putting on very different voices to what they'd normally do. Wilhelm sounds totally different to his character in Hunter x Hunter. Subaru is massively different to Senku from Dr. Stone, and so on and so forth. Point being, excellent work fitting right back in after nearly 5 years away, and that goes for everyone.
お前もベティを置いていったのかしら。ジュース。
お、誰だって？
What? This is going to be good and is getting an early emergency shocked for what's gonna come later related win.
ベティはお前の都合のいい道具じゃないのよ。
なぜ僕が出てきたばかりのトイレから夏希さんが。とっととどいてくれません。
Also though, seriously man, how insanely intriguing was that little interaction between those two just now? She clearly knows way more and is way more involved than we know, and I honestly am so genuinely loving this second season so far, especially in how they're keeping some mysteries going for now.
オットー君、そうなの？
エミリア様の純真な目が痛い痛い。
もういいの？
おう、新入り。ちゃんと制服着こなしてるな。
でしょ。
Really nice little addition having her take up a job there, especially considering all of the awful things that happened to her by the cult when Subaru was figuring out how to save everyone.
何度も声はかけてるし、契約のつながりは感じるんだけど。
前にもこんなことあったのか？
あることじゃないんだけど、これまでにも何度か数日顔を見せないこともあって。
I don't know if this is what they're going for here, but this nicely links into the movie, which I've seen, but probably still won't be released on Anime Sins to the public yet by the time you watch this, since I'm so very far behind in uploading those.
エミリア。
あ、これ？
すげえ嫌な予感がする。エミリア借りるぞ。
Yet another genuinely unexpected plot twist to that!
おや、驚かせてしまったかな。
This just got really, really, really good all of a sudden. Help me! Well, now how about that for an OP? Placed at the ED, but I know it's the OP. So that was edited beautifully, looked really slick and clean, and definitely was aiming at bringing across to the viewer just how many times our poor little Boobaroo is going to have to return by not alive anymore, and I've got to speed it up like crazy due to the sheer volume of red body juices on display, and me not wanting to get slapped hard on the wrist by Daddy YouTube and have my pocket money taken away. Seriously though, consider supporting my Patreon if you can, link below. Also, well worth mentioning is the amazing song though, like that's so good!
言ってしまえば僕の体液だ。
なんでも飲ませてんだってめえ。
やはり君は不思議な人物だ。 こうして普通に僕の前にいられるんだからね。
Like, she's right. After everything he's been through, up to and including now being once again pulled away from Emilia and pulled into this tea party alongside a woman who identifies herself as the Witch of Greed, and he's able to somehow still be Subaru. This really does just continue to speak to his amazing character and the growth he's displayed throughout both seasons so far, mainly his extreme resilience. Awesome looking CGI. My God, the sheer volume of insanely intriguing lore that she just spouted out of her mouth, like the one that grabs me by the collar, shaking me, shouting, "Learn more about me," is definitely the sloth Sekhmet who drove the dragon past the Great Waterfall. Like, I want to know more! Tell me more!
ここ数日の間に君は怠惰の魔女因子の持ち主を殺しただろう。その死に際に魔女因子は新たなよりしろに君を選んだ。
Oh, not only adding in this factor thing into the story, but making it attach itself to Subaru is such a nice touch and twist in the story. Goodness me!
嘘でしょ？僕は強欲の魔女だよ。世界中のあらゆる権力者が僕の知識にすがろうと好みを求めてきたんだ。
興味ない。
This.
いい度胸してんじゃねえかよそ者。穴だらけのマグマリンが笑うってやつか。
Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Being nice to Subaru is always a win.
完全にやられ損なんですが、この怒りはどこへやればいいんですかね。
うるせえ業者だな。謝っただろうが。
And now, just out of the blue, we've got ourselves a new character with a great voice actor behind him, no less, and a twist in the story. In fact, so many twists. It's amazing.
言っておくけど、スバルには指一本触れさせないから。
待って、エミリアったん。
Kawaii.
ロズアールは聖域なんて気取って呼んじゃいるが。
Nice view of the sanctuary from above.
ちょろい。
Dude, such a nice mixture of CGI there alongside an animated figure. Plus, doesn't hurt to see Otto feeling all appreciated and stuff.
随分と久々の再会な気がするね。
Dio! Also though, what the heck happened to him?
それはエミリア様も体感なされたのでは？
Man, that music is really amazing. Like, it's dark and intense and suits the vibe perfectly as to what they're discussing. It almost feels like a slightly lighter version of something you'd hear in Silent Hill. Also dropping another win here for the outstanding expansion of the story's lore thus far. Now, outside of the cult members who are really powerful, we've learned about the numerous witches beyond that, of which perhaps all aren't actually bad, and now Dio's connection to one of them as well. It just keeps expanding. This is some thick, juicy lore. This entire Emilia-related scene of cute worrying and asking for friendship from the people of the village, and did I mention cute? All jokes aside though, as Rem mentions right afterwards, Emilia has seen some fantastic character building since the first episode. It's easy to forget what she was like, since we've come so very far, but it's true. As expected from an episode of ReZero, we get these lovely glowing effects. Yet another actually genuinely unique plot twist to bar!
Good morning, Miss Cole!
Excuse me for just a moment. What?! I thought the last plot twist was great, the notion that the light went straight out after Emilia entered. Then another twist, as it turns out, it activated for Subaru, and then this! Get out of here with your outstanding storyline twists, you!
ちょっと、二人とも。お母さん、そろそろお腹空いたから。
Subaru's mum and dad, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but my ears are picking up her voice as being the same one from season 1 who attacked him and Emilia over and over in that lovely dress. Oh, that dress. She's a baddie, but that was good stuff. Also, Elsa is who I was thinking of.
味噌汁の具はわかめ。パンに塗るのはイチゴジャムが好き。
I have no idea why it's happening, but the fact that they keep passing around that giant bowl of peas over and over again is making me chuckle harder than it probably should be.
いい天気なんだし、ちょっと外で親子トークとしゃれ込もうぜ。
Nozel Silva from Black Clover. Wonderful visuals right there. Placing those petals falling down both in front and behind the characters is just a nice extra touch of realism into the scene. My god, those visuals! I gotta drop another win for it. That's glorious right there. So peaceful and bright and colourful. It's crazy. Learning more about Subaru and his upbringing, his childhood and his loving parents, something I really didn't think we'd ever get to see and honestly even forgot about. It was like, in my eyes, he had always been a part of this world when in reality, he's only been in it for a pretty short amount of time. It's amazing that the story and his character traits can make you forget that fact. I swear, Subaru probably has the most naturally expression-filled face of any anime character I've ever seen. Also, what I mean by naturally is that it's done without over-the-top exaggeration like in many comedy anime and so on.
俺に見捨ててほしけりゃもっと能動的にやれよ。誰が自分の殻にこもったぐらいで自分のガキ見捨てるかっつの。どうもその必要もないぐらいにへし折られて立ち直った後みたいだからな。将来俺とお母さんをしっかり養ってくれよ。長男。ごめんなさい。スバル。俺何にも返せないままきっともう会えない。
Oh, he's a good dad, really. Plus, that's a heck of a sweet scene overall, especially the end as Subaru cries knowing he'll never be able to properly see his mother and father again. Man, that was tough to watch.
じゃあスバルは世界とマヨネーズどっちを選ぶの？
いやそれは世界だろ。
ほらね。
下り顔して何がホラネだよ。
It might sound odd, but take a win here for these odd conversations. Sometimes in anime, everything can be written so perfectly, like the parents and child are speaking in meaningful poetry to one another, when more often than not, most conversations are relaxing, random BS, or just funny, much like this.
俺は俺らしくか。
そうそう。お父さんみたいになりたいって思いながらスバルになるんだよ。
His conversation with his mother is pretty uplifting to him, and I'm glad he got this time with her just like he did with his father. That was important to his continued character growth, I think. Plus her words carried a lot of meaning to him as well.
俺結局誰に何もできないわ。
何かしてほしいから産んだわけじゃないんだよ。何かしてあげたいから産んだの。
Gotta admit, they got me going again. They are just great parents, so I think the scene just hits that much harder, to be honest. Such a better end to how things were left the first time between them. A bright, happy smile on both of their faces, the truth of hers and his father's unconditional love out there for him to understand, a love that will never die away. I think that's the first time witnessing the ED with the visuals alongside that lovely song. I always think it's awesome how the voice actors do so much singing for the anime as well. But yeah, nice and simple, calm and colourful visuals to relax us as we end each episode and head into the next. Beautiful.
あの声も笑顔も全部が全部俺の想像なんてぶっちぎってた。俺の両親は俺のちんけな想像に収まるような器じゃねえよ。なめんな。
His response here is absolutely perfect, because I must admit it felt like the last episode had been somewhat sullied when you take into consideration that she allegedly fabricated all of it using his memories, but what he says back to her just puts that completely to bed.
たとえ本物じゃなかったにしても本当の二人に伝わってなかったとしても伝えたいことを言えたのはお前のおかげだ。だからありがとうだ。
Man, what he says here is ideal as well, because one, you don't want a dead hot witch being angry at you, and two, he's still being honest. He's living his life already how he said he would to his mother and father, and for the most part, people seem to really appreciate it in this new world.
エミリア。
私じゃないの。違うの。なのに。
Once again, I'm curious if this is linking into the movie and what we saw about her growing up. I'm not 100% confident, but I'm pretty sure she had a really hard time of it growing up, and then even just the events of the movie are pretty rough. But if she's trying to face her past, that could be exactly what's implied here, and that's a great way of linking it to the movie without even really linking it to the movie, you feel me?
エミリアタンついに無意識下で俺を求めるほど積極的に。
全然そんなんじゃないの。多分うっかりしちゃったみたい。
否定が早いし、うっかりってどういうこと？
That.
聖域の解放に反対する連中にとって一番確実な方法はエミリア様に危害を加えることよ。
This storyline arc would be so much more simple in most other anime, I'd say, but in ReZero it's well thought out and planned. How will certain characters interact? How will they grow during this time? How will the story progress? And how many epic twists and turns can I push into the arc? I love the mangaka, what a legend, and these animators do a stunning job too.
いずれも答えは一つだ。私が魔女教と対峙せずに済むようにそれらの事態誘導した。
That's another unique twister though where I come from. Man oh man, who would have seriously seen that coming? I know he's been shifty since back in season 1 on some occasions, but he's backing Emilia, and in order to avoid the cult, he just takes off and lets happen what may happen. This is beyond crazy, and especially because they didn't mince words, they didn't drag it out unnecessarily. They were straight to the point, and that's rare for an anime.
俺が何もできないクズのままならお前はどうしてたんだよ。エミリアも村の人たちも誰も救えない結果になってたら。
信じていたんだよ、君のことを。
I understand a very small amount where he's coming from, but my word, how wrong he ultimately was to do what he did, given how many times Subaru was forced to go back and change things to make it all work in the end. Really, it's no wonder he's so angry after everything he had to do, that seemingly endless nightmare he went through, where he even almost lost his mind, and all because Roswell, what? Just wanted to improve Emilia's image and have her do it herself or something?
スバルのバカ。
って急に罵倒？
How they built this, even in a scene such as this, with the gorgeous night sky above and the distant mountains and little lights on down below, no doubt from where the villagers are scattered about and those who live and or are basically trapped there.
その度はあんな取り乱して出てくんだぜ。見ちゃいらんねえよ。エミリアは必ず試練を乗り越えられるって信じてる。
It feels win-worthy that this grand story isn't always focusing entirely on Subaru as well, because here this trial thing most definitely could have easily been all about him, but instead it's about Emilia. It's about making the villagers trust her and wanting her to become their ruler, and that's awesome.
大丈夫だ。
Being nice to animals is always a win. Absolutely frigging brilliant! An amazing end of episode twist as the Bowel Huntress once again makes her way back into the anime. Now with her, I'm very conflicted. Obviously can't show everything because his internal stuff is all external due to her attack, and she's as always wearing the best thing I've ever seen, but yeah, amazing twist in the story I didn't see coming 16 miles off!
私には任せられないって思うの。でも向かい合わなきゃ試練は越えられないの。嫌なことから目を背けてスバルに押し付けて逃げて。
Damn it, leave it to ReZero to set up a storyline and then knock it down, leaving me deeply confused. Like I was all on board with what Subaru was saying, and that's after they had to convince me that maybe it doesn't have to be Emilia who does it, and then they pull this, and like I did so many times during season 1, I'm left scratching my head, rubbing my chin at the same time no less, wondering what will happen next. Nothing in this anime is straightforward and predictable, and I adore that.
あの気分屋を説得する時間が惜しいんだ。それからもう一つ。
Most anime would likely have dulled this surface so as not to have to animate a mirror image, but the people over at White Fox didn't take that shortcut because they're awesome.
ラムをおとりに投げ飛ばすなんて言っていたでしょ。そのことがなぜか妙に胸に引っかかったの。本当にそんなことがあったの。
Okay, that's definitely a new addition to this story. Even if it's a one and done, it's still insanely intriguing that she almost held on to a past memory, something that only happened to Subaru. Color me deeply intrigued, boys and gals.
仮にフレデリカが敵の場合、いつことを起こすつもりなのかが重要だ。
バルス。
攻めるか逃げるか。
Subaru using his ability in the best of ways now, anticipating events ahead of time, accepting that he may not make it every time, and putting plans into place ahead of time as well.
そんなつれないこと言わないでほしいのだけれど。
Emergency! Elsa has returned earlier than expected and has a hostage-related plot twist of genuine concern and worry! Oh my god, this got super intense! All of a sudden they're fighting the great CGI on Ram's attack!
ちぎれ飛びなさい。
シャーマン
That was unbelievable as a short battle, having all of the great elements I'd expect from ReZero. Fantastic CGI, clean and smooth animation, a quick pace plus loads of different angles. Cannot express how impressed I am by that sudden turn of events and how well it was put together.
正しく判断しただけよ。ここでラムやフレデリカ、ついでにバルスを失う痛手の方が陣営にとって大きい。
Ram always gives Subaru a hard time and is often very cold to him, but it's nice to see that when the chips are down that she does logically express how important he is. What is going on in this episode? Someone help me! Talk about damn dedication. Just look how much detail was put into this destroyed window frame. Amazing first-person perspective done, just about the best I've ever witnessed, rivaling those who do them a lot from time to time like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and others, as we witness Subaru wake up, get attacked during the final leg of the escape attempt, and end up crashing back through into the mansion. This is so good! Obviously cannot show it at all, but basically it looks like no one has made it. Elsa likely has help, and this just became as equally intense a scenario for Subaru to overcome as pretty much any that occurred during the first season. It's almost like a mystery each time as well as new information unfolds. Subaru forms a new plan based around what happened the last time. It really is the best element of ReZero's story, that being his ability to return by not having a beating heart anymore.
終わる世界だろうとレムのことは傷つけさせない。レム
His love for Rem is extremely potent in general, but especially right here, since he knows he's not going to be able to make it, but even still, before he goes back, he just wants to do what he can to keep her away from Rem, and that's so sweet it's unreal.
どうして助けたベアトリス
Another plot twist? Another one?
遅いことなんてあるか今すぐレムのところに
お前があの部屋に戻る理由はたった今亡くなったかしら。
What a horrible way of telling us that Elsa just eliminated her. Oh, damn.
お前なんで俺を助けようとするんだよ
あんまりお前が無様で見てられないからなのよ。
I actually mentioned this a couple of times during the first season, that it's a very unique character trait of hers, that she doesn't want to see suffering. She really dislikes it, and it's great to see that's still the case and hasn't been forgotten about.
誰が助けてくれなんて頼んだんだよ自分が何したか分かってるのかお前のせいで何もかも台無しになるかもしれねえんだぞ
Okay, so the win here is for her reaction to what he's saying, but also I'm genuinely really worried that based on what he's saying, she's perhaps done something that cannot be undone. I really hope that's not the case. She's doing the wrong thing, but also in her mind the right thing, and it's brutal to watch because she's never acted like this before and it's all so new.
その本に何が書いてある何をしろって
その質問も本にないかしら。
何もかもその本に書かれた通りでなきゃできないってのかよ
そうかしら。
She's following the instructions of the book? New twists upon new twists, forming new incredible lore. I swear this anime is one of the best of all time. Who could have ever seen this coming?
これまでベティがしてきたこと、見たこと、言ってきたこと、全部ここに記されていることなのよ。ベティのすべてはお母様のために。お前なんか。
There's clearly way more to this than meets the eye right now, but what a scene this has turned out to be, and that music. I must have that music. If you know it, hit me up in those comments, please. I gotta tell you, I've never been so happy for a save point in my life, okay? Because I literally said yes out loud and punched my fist into the air so they could take 2 wins. Not only for him going back this far, thank God, but also because this outstanding anime continues to get better and better, and I've yet to witness another anime so proficient when it comes to forming twists in the story.
やあちょっといいか。ガーフィールか。お前もよくよくパターン化されないやつだな。ああ
That's interesting, how he doesn't follow usual patterns normally at all. Weird of Subaru to confuse him with the statement, but still, interesting.
それは完全な俺のわがままだな。
試練はそれでいいかもしれん。
A lot of the time anime employ next to no weather effects until there's a significant statement made, but here we see a lot of wind during the normal conversation. By the way, the first part of this win is where my sin comes from for opportunistic wind cliche on anime sins, where they're talking and then you hear, "I'm your father, son," and the wind suddenly blows through the scene, making it all emotional and stuff.
ここでスーボーにはおとなしくしてもらわねばならんということじゃ。
ん
Man! Again! Plot twist!
とぼけんな。そんだっけ体中から正気ばらまきやがって魔女教徒げ。
Ah! Finally, this element of the anime comes back around! Mentioned by Rem way back in season 1, it's once again acknowledged how he stinks of the witch due to all of the times he's been returning. It's also an interesting notion when you consider how closely that ability does resemble what Petal Goose was able to achieve.
させねえよ。自決も許さねえ。てめえが何考えてやがっか知れたもんじゃねえがね。
Isn't it simply amazing that in any other anime this would be a tough situation, one you'd have to find your way out of, but in ReZero it's simply downright devastating since we know if he can't restart, Elsa will appear, taking out Rem, his half-sister, and Petra and Lord knows what else.
バカみたいに強く締めやがって。
I swear in order to get that sound right, they must have legit gagged the voice actor because that was way too perfect.
3日？それに試練もまだ続けてんのか？
エミリア様も考えあってのことですよ。
I've been very hesitant to drop a win here for Otto since I don't fully trust him, having seen those eyes light up by the prospect of a dual reward for keeping quiet, which clearly he has done for 3 days, but all the same, he's here, he's untied him, it's an unexpected twist. Let's see where it goes.
それでガーフィールに追っかけられてるのか？
はい。だから情報は全部逃げながら集めたもので。
お前が俺に手を貸す理由が見つからない。
そうですね。夏木さん、友人を助けようとするってのはそんなにおかしなことですかね。
Ah, I shouldn't have doubted Otto-sama. I'm so sorry, bruh. Take that win for being best boy like you should have gotten all along, you best to ever merchant boy you. Yeah, take one more right here for that ending. I think Subaru is kind of losing his mind a little bit again, but he held tight at the very end. But Otto was incredibly sweet right there, and it's funny how Subaru failed to see how the things he has changed can make people change towards him as well, since he'd done so much for Otto along the way of changing the course of events, and as a result, Otto saw him as a true friend.
今の俺は悪ふざけに付き合ってられる余裕がねえんだ。
通したのはラムだね。あの子には君を助けるよう指示してあったんだが。
One of the strangest wins of the video goes for these scenes, having music that deeply reminds me of what I've heard numerous times throughout The Witcher 3, a game I love.
あの子が持っているのは福音書じゃない。この世にたった2冊しかない本当の未来を示す魔書。英知の書に最も近しいものだ。
I swear if this anime keeps dropping more and more lore, it's gonna one day equal in size to bloody The Lord of the Rings, and I say that as a big fat win. This entire scene should get its own standalone win, rising the tension with that Silent Hill type ominous music, new revelations being unfolded, the expansion of lore and the tension between them, as Subaru clearly doesn't trust Dio fully. Outstanding pacing right there and a truly brilliantly put together scene.
散歩の相談かよ。せっかくだ。俺様も混ぜちゃくれねえか。
Oh, this got intense all of a sudden. Shut up and take my win!
そうか。まだ慣用句は通じてねえが。わかるってんなら。どうした？
It warms my old heart to see Otto and Ram of all people shielding Subaru like this and fighting to protect him, but there's no time for that!
俺を
Oh my god, what a bunch of absolute friggin' legends these people are! Ah! He's huge! scream from Subaru, one that we haven't heard since he shouted out his pure rage at what had happened at the village and mansion to everyone due to Petal Goose's actions.
Subaru 様に近づくな化け物
How can I possibly not drop a win for these insanely brave villagers helping Subaru, his ground dragon trying to drag him to safety and knowing Otto gave his life for his? Man, it's getting me now.
Huh?
I have the worst feeling in the pit of my stomach, worse than I've felt watching any anime for a very long time right now.
いない
Also though, take another one here because this world is just one of horror really if you think about it. Subaru went through so much pain and suffering to achieve an end that resulted in everyone being okay for the most part, taking down the white whale and Petal Goose, and yes that's actually how you spell his name by the way, and saving Emilia, and everything since then has just continued to be a horrible journey for him yet again. I both love that and hate that. I want him to have some peace, but it sure as hell also makes this one of the greatest anime ever. Super quick, lovely scenery shot of the house window, house from above, the village in the forest. Evil human-eating, rabbit-eating Subaru-related plot twist of evil rabbit-eating human-related shock and doom. You ought to try saying that twice quick. Also though, rotating shots like it's no big deal and doesn't take ages to put together. Okay, I obviously cannot show his demise there, but I think it's safe to say it's the worst one yet, eaten by like 100 rabbits. That was awful and extremely graphic to say the least. Finally, we find out where he gets set back to, and you best believe that in spite of what I just saw, I now have a massive smile on my face because he's back here again, to safety. But at the same time, I'm so curious as to what actually happened to him, how it became winter, how long was he out for, so many mysteries.
茶会に2度同じ客人を招くことは珍しい。
気持ち悪いくらい平然としてるな俺。
These little segments, masterfully progressing the storyline each time at intricate points in the overall story arc as Subaru is saved from having another breakdown.
対価が必要なら他に何でも払ってやる。その代わり、お前は俺の記憶に隠れるな。
Yeah, boy, you go you. She is nice, I must admit. I won't lie. Stop trying to make me lie.
死に戻りをしている。俺は死んだら時間を遡って世界をやり直してる。死に戻り死に戻り死に戻り死に戻り。
落ち着きなよ。君の気持ちはわかるけど。
俺は死に戻りしてたんだ。
I don't know why, but it feels oddly refreshing to be able to hear him actually say these words to another person. Is it just me, or did this hit you guys and gals in similar ways? Let me know down in those comments and subscribe if you're not already. Let's do the second half together and enough of this nonsense, you feel me? Got me going yet again.
だって僕はこの世のすべてを知りたいと欲する強欲の魔女。エキドナだからね。
I don't trust this woman yet, but she's grown on me as a character in the most unexpected of ways. In the trailer and at the start I saw her as evil, but she's something else entirely now, and for an anime to change my perception of someone like this, moulding my feelings as it plays out its story, is just excellent to the highest degree.
分かっていたはずだ。その力が魔女のものに違いないと、とっくの昔に。
なんで俺にご執心なのかは全然わからねえけど。
Finally, we may get another piece of this puzzle laid out and answered before us, one untouched in all of this time. Why is this happening to him? Why would the Witch of Envy do this? And much more. Now, sadly, coming back to this in 50 seconds time, there's no answers, but we do now know that Return by not being alive anymore probably has no maximum uses, which is great to find out, if only because it expands the potential length of the whole story.
お前が俺にくれた死に戻りって恩恵使い倒してやるよ。俺は他人の思惑を裏切らせたら天下一品なんだぜ。
Yet another fantastic example of the resilience of Subaru, something I spoke about extensively during season 1, that as a character his mental state is one of the most interesting elements to him. How he can break down so many times but claw his way back, and here we see that determination again and I feel refreshed. Such a nice added touch having the handles on different sides of their cups, since they're both picking them up right-handed the whole time.
大ウサギ
大きいではなく多いだよ。三大魔獣のうちの一体さ。白芸に黒蛇、それから大ウサギ。
Further expanding upon the already expanded expansion of lore!
いやダメだ結界がある結界がある限りエミリアたちは外に出られない聖域には大ウサギ屋敷への襲撃
During win number 146, I talked about the horror of his journey, and now we have the addition of another of the Witch of Gluttony's mud-beasts coming into play already, something that, if he isn't careful, will annihilate the entire region and everything and everyone in it. I heard season 2 of ReZero was good. I never dared to imagine it could possibly end up being this good.
やっと会えたな。
は
はって何ですかはって。それな失礼ってやつだぞ。
Well now, it's safe to say I didn't expect that, and neither did any of you.
無事に帰れないと。私の拳が世界を再生させる。
I'm so very confused right now!
私の怒りが世界を浄化する。私の憤怒が拳の怒りが。
Kawaii though! Extreme kawaii!
おいおい
So much confusion!
大ウサギは俺が滅ぼす白芸ももう殺した後だ文句つけんなよ
やれるものならやってみたらいいですよ。
Not sure I'd have pointed out to that incredibly dangerous foe that I plan on wiping out its kids, but all the same, that was an equally incredibly nerve-wracking scene, especially the end.
茶会に来ることがあれば、その時今度は僕の方から君に話したいことがあるんだ。
I'm just gonna throw out there into the world, I like her an unreasonable amount. Never, ever thought that would be possible, but yeah, she's brilliant, kind, and her personality is amazing to me, and that's all outside of how great her character is at moving the plot forward as well. Another utterly amazing plot twist, Odamama!
ざっけてんじゃねえぞこれ
Oh, what now? He's helping him, yet he was his enemy before, and his presence here means what's happening is actually real and is actually happening, and I can't take it anymore. Take 2 wins. This is for the continually outstanding twists. How can I not show my gratitude with a rare double win?
私は喜んで堂々しよう。君が地獄を生きるのなら、私はその地獄をこそ望む。次は間違えないようにね。夏希、スバル。
What else can I say that hasn't already been said about the twists? Nothing. Nothing else can be written and said by yours truly except this. I have never, ever seen an anime with so many well thought out twists. Never.
気づいた時には地面はそっくり影に染まってたラムが風で飛ばしてくれなきゃ俺様も飲まれちまってただろうよ
This guy has ended up becoming a better character than I could have ever hoped for, really. Initially, he seemed kind of one-dimensional. That was my immediate thought, I should point out. And then episode by episode, he's been expanded upon to the point where he's now an enigma wrapped up in a mystery, and it's not even really character development. He's just insanely different each time.
来やがってねいけ
Ah, this is so stupidly, outrageously, unbelievably, stupendously amazing! I've talked before about voice actors returning after all of this time to do the same voices as before with no change at all, and that's great, but here he deserves a win for his actual performance. Revealing the Witch of Envy for the first actual time. Actually making those experiences with the witch affect how he sees Emilia, especially given the striking resemblance between them. The mangaka could have quite easily had Subaru restart with no issues, but instead taking this route once again reminds us of how human he is and that he's not some impenetrable hero.
助けるはずのエミリア様にご迷惑をかけて何のために生きてるの
This entire scene, learning more about the clones, the Witch of Greed and Beastie Bakugo at the same time. Plus it was probably the single most relaxing scene of the season so far that lasted for longer than a couple of minutes, since usually something awful happens right away as I'm trying to chill.
まるで妖精さんみたいだね、エミリアタ。
all of this. Lovely scene.
夏希さん、いろいろ大変とは思いますが、何かあったら話は聞きますよ。
I've said it before, but I should say it again. Otto-sama Dono-chan is the bestest of best boys. Subaru, making his way out of the village, finally, even after being stopped temporarily by Tiger Bakugo Dono, as he figured out a way to get him mad and understand a little more about him. Overall, a brilliant episode, just the same as the others, as it ends with him getting to the mansion, rescuing the maids from their coming doom, and having a confusing conversation with Beatrice that I can't wait to see the end of in the next episode.
出すなんてそんな勝手
当てが外れた顔だな。俺のすることは全部その本に書いてあるんじゃないのか。
Wait, everything he says is in the book? What? I'm so confused and so intrigued in equal measure. But then also coming back to this in 40 seconds time, perhaps that's not the case and it's about her future? Help me, I don't understand fully.
助けてほしい
そうだ、そう言って手を伸ばしてくれれば俺が。
どれだけそれを願ったと思ってるのよベティがただ諦めたとでも思ったのかしら
Not gonna even lie, it's pretty tough to watch her like this. It's so utterly different from how we've always seen her, including when she desperately tried to save Subaru from Elsa before, and now she's like this.
ベティがお前に最後を預けるのはきっと
お話の途中悪いのだけれど私があなたのその人になってあげても
The music didn't even skip a beat and yet the world's biggest twist has already appeared right behind him!
魔獣使い。
メイリー・ポートリート
The introduction of this little git who was in the village way back when!
これは私の失態ね
Wow! She is tough! Like even Reinhardt wasn't enough to take her down and she did it! This is amazing! And it's not great because he'll have to restart, but this is amazing all the same! I don't even know what to say. She came back, and it's a twist on twist layered on a twist, and not to mention the CGI that comes afterwards. It's beautiful and stunning looking. I really can't take this. Once again, in an attempt to help him, she teleports him away, falsely believing to be aiding him one last time. This may well be one of the greatest anime seasons I've ever witnessed.
誰かが俺なんかに頼らなくちゃいけないぐらいあの子の心を追い詰めたんだ。
Wait, so that in there was actually Emilia all along? And she had just been pushed so far mentally that she's gone all weird and reliant upon Subaru? This really and truly has become the darkest timeline of the anime so far, I should think. Like perhaps even more difficult to deal with than everything that came before it in season 1.
約束は違えない。私は君にこの魂を捧ごう。
What? I don't even... What is happening right now? I'm so... I don't even know anymore. Dio just stabbed Ram through the back and into him. Like, Jesus. Take the win and let me cower in the corner for a bit.
大騒ぎ。
I can't even show everything which occurred within the cabin, especially since they kept showing Ram on the floor like that, and then Dio started beating up Subaru really bad, but safe to say, the whole thing is a part of everything that's great about ReZero Season 2, and now here comes the rabbits again.
やっぱりスバルもうどこ行ってたの
Creepy first-person perspective that's really creepy as they show Subaru as all mangled.
エミリアを、聖域を、屋敷を救う。誰も彼もを救ってみせる。
How he can be so resilient still is beyond me, but I love him all the more for it.
エミリア様。
サツキスバル
俺は知らない。知るはずがない。
ついていく。一刻を争うぞ。こんな形で恩人を行かせることなどあってたまるか。
こんな時になんでこんな
エミリア様、彼を君と言葉を交わしたかったよ、夏木スバル。
お前がその人じゃないことぐらい分かって。でも
Oh dear lord, he's witnessing what happens after he's ended himself. Oh man, I never thought we'd get to witness this. It's never even crossed my mind. I cursed out loud as well. 3.5 minutes later as the next event takes place, which I'll feature in a moment. But for now, take a double win here for all of the events they showed after his demise each time. And on to this next one that made me swear loudly, confusing my dogs.
エミリア様もスバルも、もうどこにもいないのですね。君は、お前は英雄だよ。
Oh, okay, that one gets another double win. I've heard for the longest time, for years now, people say occasionally in my comments that Reinhard would take out Puck in a fight. He's the strongest. And then I got to actually witness it, and I'm beyond grateful to see him again.
スバル君
俺が死んだ後も世界が続いてたんなら、俺は何回みんなを見殺しにしたんだ。
It obviously cannot be real, but getting to see Rem again after so long genuinely warms my heart.
俺は何回お前を死なせた。俺は何回お前を殺せばいいんだ。
スバル君
Also though, have another one here for him being such an amazing character. Even after everything he's gone through, he still cares about the pain that was caused to everyone else as a result of him having started over.
結果的に君の心を傷つけたことは言い訳できない。罵倒も甘んじて受けよう。
何を企んでやがったんだ、駅だな。
魔女なんだ。悪巧みだよ。
Damn, dude, just when I was really liking her back at Win... I don't even know, I've written so much into this script. Like, seriously, it's probably going to be 12,500 words long by the time I'm done. So if you love what I do and have a few spare bucks per month, feel free to throw them my way on Patreon, linked below as thanks. But anyway, I was loving her character, but ultimately she is bad news.
お前はどうしてそんなに俺をどうにかしようとしてくれるんだ。
それは女の子の口から言わせるのは少し意地悪が過ぎるんじゃないかな。
Well... Now, I don't think she really is that bad after all, and I hope not, because I do really like her. Just stop the storyline twists for 5 minutes and let my brain stop trembling, and maybe I can figure out where I actually stand on all of these witches and everything else.
最後にはって枕言葉が必ずついてくる約束さね。
That should be the Witch of Lust. Just saying. I brought that up on the Anime Sins version. Check that out whenever it's released in the future to see what I'm talking about, but all I can say here is, yes! But at the same time, hot witches aside, this entire scene has my brain nearly actually trembling. It's so good. Them all trying to get him to make a contract with them, promising him things in return. Ugh!
君が誰かを救うために力を使うなら僕も救ってほしい。僕は僕の強欲を抑制できない。
That smooth as butter rotating shot animation with no CGI is stunning. The damn ending to that episode. Man, oh man, I'm near speechless. That was one of the best put together sequences I've seen in terms of Greed's voice acting performance, everyone turning up together and Subaru forming his ultimate choice. Then as if that wasn't good enough, as if the story hadn't been forwarded enough, the Witch of Envy turns up in the scene, her presence enough to scare some of her fellow witches. Depending on how the final episode turns out, this may yet be one of my top 5 anime of all time. This second season has so far been that good to me personally, and I cannot believe we have another half to go starting in 2021. So glad to be sharing this journey with all of you as well, and I very much hope you're enjoying the video. Hit that like button, boys and girls, and for God's sake, take 2 wins here! These first 5 minutes of the episode just had me on the edge of my seat and unable to clearly put into words what was rushing through my brain. Of course, that could also be due to the fact that I've been so eager to see what happens that as a result, I've watched and written both Sins and Wins scripts simultaneously now for around 7 hours straight. All in all though, Subaru's mental state has taken a little bit of a hit, so much so that he removed his own tongue and then the witches began to fight for him. Like, they're so bizarre, so endearing and so confusing in different ways. I tell you, the mangaka created all of them and made them the furthest thing from being one-dimensional. Imagine creating Subaru, Rem, Ram, Emilia, Dio-chan and Otto Best Boyington and everyone else, and then getting to this point in your huge story, filled with so many twists and turns and piling it full of so much character development, and then, even after all of that, creating these 7 witches with personalities and unique differences and wants and needs. I'm in awe of that level of dedication to your story, and to the amazingly talented animators who compile all of that and create this masterpiece before us. What's amazing to me about the following 8.5 minutes is that after all that I had said, my thought process was proven to be spot on, as every one of the witches helps Subaru for one reason or another, and in many ways it cannot be a case of them being purely evil. I don't think that's the case at all, actually. And even though it would have been so easy to paint them all as antagonists within the story, the mangaka took another route. As I said before, delving into who they are as people, giving them choices which reflect a huge variety of personalities. Above all, just like what happened once or twice in Season 1, all of this has proved to push Subaru back onto the tracks, to help him understand more about himself and his friends and his love, and what he has to do moving forward. It's also so crazy that this mysterious figure after all of this time, that being Satella, is actually oddly sweet in her own way, just something I never ever expected from this scene.
そうする相手への気持ちなんて人でも地竜でも同じだと僕は思いますけどね。
これは違くてただタイミングが。
This gorgeous scene happening right after the events which transpired within that realm as he learns to love himself and realise the hurt left behind whenever he starts over again, as he realises his lovely ground dragon genuinely loves him so much that she hurt herself to protect him.
屋敷を死角に襲わせる依頼は私が出したものなのだからね。
This does make so much sense now, and now that I think about it, it's being built upon this entire time. He wants Subaru focused on one thing, so that he can use his authority to focus on bringing about the one future that he himself wants to achieve his own goal, likely something to do with the dragon. But here's the kicker. Floating these timeline events along a piece of string, that being the story, and having this outcome be a shock to the audience is very difficult to do while having it make sense and not giving it away earlier on. So well done this is in terms of pacing this season, all set out perfectly. Let's drop a final win here right at the very end to our bestest boy Otto. He's been fantastic during this season and had a way bigger part than I ever thought he would, which has been brilliant. Well guys and gals, we've reached the end of this video and the halfway stage of the entire second season. If you've loved this video or heck even just enjoyed it, please do hit the like button and leave a comment and subscribe, smacking that bell icon at the same time. Don't forget you can also follow me on Twitter, join our Discord server, or of course support me on Patreon using the link in the description. There's also PayPal if you'd rather do a one-off donation. The email for that is bigcowman@hotmail.com. I want to say that I've loved these 13 episodes. I cannot wait for the second half to begin early next year, and that ReZero as a franchise rose massively in my expectations. I also want to thank you all for joining me on what will no doubt be one of my largest videos to date. So thank you all, and of course I'll see you in whatever video is out next, or hopefully at least in the second half in the future. Nathan Burr, Bird Without a Word, Arias Alibari, Aidan White, PK Fan, Ali 50, Ryan Anderson, Isael Caldera, Chris Harris, Yona Shgal, Manolo Saucedo Munoz, Luis Hernandez, Kim Munt, Jason Davies, Yuki Ali, Manuel Morales, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Sentimento, Java 6263, Amy San, Alfredo Jimenez, Silva, Master Tank, Boogie, Kevin Nelta, Stefio, Brendan Kriya, Storm 970, Mr. Waffle 64, Fondola Ninja, Kaj Warzorna, Jordan Samuels, Sean Graves, The Epic Commander, Crimson Shadows, Kyle Farmer, Buzzbomb 3000, Adora Blue, Yagai 7636, Mr. Berigino.